Exterminators slash Terminators are a mid-round antagonist that spawn completely naked on the station. They have one singular purpose, to kill one person and self-destruct. But you need to do this at any means necessary. Being naked is probably not the most ideal way of doing so. Exterminators have a lot going for them though to make killing your target much easier, even if you are naked. Terminators have 200 HP, and on top of that, you have 80% reduced damage to blunt and slash, 90% reduced piercing. You will take cold damage at 75% reduced, and you also have 75% caustic damage reduced. You cannot take poison or cellular damage. You don't have to worry about getting poisoned. You take 50% more shock damage, and you take even amounts of heat damage. It's also worth mentioning, though, that if you take 100 heat damage, you will lose your skin. So even though you have 200 HP, heat damage is definitely just the way you have to take care of these guys. Shooting a Terminator 1,000 times is not really all that practical. Terminators also don't breathe, but they do take barotrauma damage, and they take cold damage. They're a little bit more resistant to cold, and like a little bit more resistant to high pressure, but they're not immune to it. So if you are in a like overpressurized room, you'll start dying as an exterminator. If you're in space, you'll start dying to an exterminator. Of course, you could just wear EVA suits, but you'd have to probably kill someone and steal it, or just break into the EVA room and steal it. Your fists actually do slightly extra damage, so that can come in handy, especially if you need to get your first set of clothes. But what I recommend doing as an exterminator before you even start doing any of this combat is try to find any piece of clothing whatsoever. A naked person on station isn't all that uncommon in LRP, but the really, really good Valid Hunters can check a crew manifest in 3 seconds flat, and the second they see your name not on that crew manifest, they pretty much automatically know that you're going to be an exterminator. There is the random event that removes people off of that crew manifest, but people don't really give a shit. They'll probably just use that as a justification to provoke you into attacking them. I don't mean to be doom and gloom about it, but people do metagame the exterminators really hard, so you need to do whatever you can to become not valid, and that means wear some clothes and ideally even steal an identity and just keep your face covered. Somehow that makes you less suspicious than just being naked. Anyways, enough droning on about the negative parts of the game. You have 400 stamina, so getting stunned is pretty impractical. However, you still slip. And due to this, you can actually still get cuffed. So, even as far as the combat goes in this game, even exterminators are not immune to slip and cuff combat. You're kind of immune to stuns, but not immune to slips. Realistically and most practically, you're going to be shot to death by lasers, set on fire, or beat to death with lit welding torches, once people realize you're an exterminator, that is. Don't fret though, you actually can heal yourself with ointment and stuff like that, no problem as an exterminator. So if you want to, stealing a pack or two of ointment is probably ideal to keep yourself alive. So fire suits actually have 70% heat reduction. Getting into maintenance might be tough because without stealing access from even at least a passenger, you can't get to the fire suits very easily. Sometimes you can find them out in like open areas. But a fire suit, A, makes you look way less suspicious. At this point you just look like a gray tighter. And it makes up for one of your biggest shortcomings. You don't take nearly as much heat damage. So at this point, I'm now basically taking 0 damage from all sources. So wearing a fire suit as a Terminator makes you really, really tanky. So that's just my word of advice for you. Find a fire suit. Being extraordinarily tanky in all scenarios is really useful. Also, having this reduced movement speed means you can't get slipped by soaps anymore. So you actually counter pretty much all of the stun metas, in quotations, if you wear a fire suit. Sometimes having reduced speed is certainly worth it in this game when you can be basically a juggernaut suit walking around with enhanced punch damage. Obviously, I still recommend getting a weapon. Alright, that's enough about the skin. What happens when you take the 100 heat or 200 total damage? Well, if I just burn the shit out of myself, once you take that damage, you turn it into an endoskeleton, and the damage is irreversible. You can't go back into your skin. At this point, you actually can't slip at all because of the movement speed, but you can be stunned. You only have 120 stamina in the endoskeleton, but you can't be cuffed. You don't have hands to be cuffed. And your punch actually is enhanced further, but at this point, literally the only thing you can do is punch people to death. You don't have hands, you can't get weapons, you can't repair yourself because you don't have hands to repair yourself with, but you do have another 200 HP. And the damage values change entirely. You are basically immune to every form of damage in the game, except blunt and shock. You take normal blunt damage, and you take 150% more shock damage, But you have a 5 blunt damage flat reduction, meaning that you can't even take damage from punches. So people at this point have to beat you to death with bats, oxygen tanks, crowbars, toolboxes would be great, whatever they can get your hands on. And the only thing the Exterminator can do at this point is just keep punching their targets to death. So yeah, the Endoskeleton's really all not that hard to deal with. You could stun them and then just beat the hell out of them with a bat or a toolbox, whatever you got on hand. 2 or 3 people can easily gang beat a Endoskeleton to death. So if you're playing an Exterminator, you really don't want to get into this state. I feel like that's really all there is to cover. It's basically just an antagonist with very specific healing and stun thresholds, and they have one purpose of killing one person. So once you kill that person, I would recommend just typing in /suicide in chat. That way they can't do anything with your body and just leave behind a useless skull. I actually don't know what the admin ruling is on killing people after you complete your objective. If you want my opinion, their objective is to kill one person, and it says do it at any cost, and then self-destruct. So I think just by following what the game intends, regardless of what admins intend or want you to do, just kill a few people, get gear, and then find your target and slaughter them. You don't have to give them. Killing them automatically gives you the green text, even if they get revived. So kill them, and then just type in /suicide. Don't let them get their hands on you. You've won. Once you kill your target, you have done what you need to. But again, I would recommend wearing a fire suit. Killing a janitor for galoshes or killing an engineer for mag boots can also help because you don't want to slip. You don't want to get slipped and cuffed. That's not fun as an antagonist. So that's really it. That's my advice of how to play this antag better and explains how the antagonist works and also how to deal with them. Thank you for watching.